Slope. This is a review of parts 4 and 5. In today's lesson, students will review how to calculate 4 types of slope: positive slope, negative slope, zero slope, and undefined slope. To help you identify the 4 different types of slope, let me introduce Slope Dude. No relation to Bob or Bob's cousin. But Slope Dude's face helps you to recognize positive slope, negative slope, undefined slope, and zero slope. Okay? So let's take a look at his face. You'll notice he has 2 eyes. One is positive and one is negative. And the positive eye, what type of a slope do you think this eyebrow is? It's a positive slope, right? It's going up. From left to right, the line is going up. As x is increasing, y is increasing. Take a look at his other eye, which is negative. Okay? What do you notice about this eyebrow? It's going down. That's right. So as x is increasing, y is decreasing. It is decreasing from left to right. Let's look at his nose, okay? You have what kind of line is this? It's a vertical line. Yeah? And if you were to take a look at where it's going to go through where x is 1, this vertical line, x is always 1. And underneath you have a U. What do you think U stands for? U stands for what? Undefined. Undefined is when you calculate a slope and you find that 0 is on the bottom, or the x's, when you subtract them you get 0. That would be undefined because you cannot divide by 0. Let's take a look at his mouth. Yes, his mouth is what kind of a line? His mouth is a horizontal line. This horizontal line, actually, if you look at it, is where y is 1, 2, 3. So y equals 3 here. Okay, any y value would be 3. And what do you notice at the ends of his mouth? What are those? Those are zeros, yeah? If you find that the change in y, because here y is 3, so no matter what I do, if I pick any 2 points, I'm going to be subtracting at the top 3 minus 3. You're going to have a 0 slope, all right? So horizontal lines give you 0 slope. Does that mean there's no slope, though? Yeah, that's essentially what it means, okay? That there isn't a slope, because is there a rise and is there a run? No, you're not rising up and running over to get to the next point. There is no slope, all right? Slope Dude. Remember? So let's take a look at example 1. What type of slope does this line have? Think about Slope Dude. What kind of slope does it have? The line is going up, so it has a positive slope. Now, what is slope? Slope is represented as the letter M. It's the letter what? M. And it's rise over run. It's what? Rise over run. So to get from the first point to the second point, we call this x1 and y1. And x2, y2. All right? So to get from this point to this point, how many are we going to have to rise up? Let's take a look. How many units? 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to represent this with little jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Positive 4, right? The rise is 4. How much are we going to run over? Let's count the units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if the slope is rise over run, what's the rise? The rise is 4, the run is 8. Now we can use the slope formula to verify that this actually is the slope. Remember slope formula, right? It goes slope, slope, change in y at the top, change in x bottom, which means we're going to start with the y values. We're going to start with what? The y values. I need you to circle the y values. Circle y2 and y1. All right, we're going to go ahead and start on the right, and then we have to remember to subtract these values, right? Because it's the change. The change is subtraction. So we're going to do simply 6 minus 2, and that's a positive 2, right? Okay. What is 6 minus 2? 6 minus 2 is 4. Perfect. Now let's underline the x values, x2 and x1. And let's now write, what's x2? x2 is negative 1 minus, in parentheses, we need to put x1, which is negative 9. All right, now let me ask you, if you have parentheses, parentheses tell you to multiply. They tell you to do what? Multiply. So what is negative times negative? Negative times negative is positive. So this becomes a positive 9. Are you following me? Now we have a positive 9 and a negative 1. Yeah? Are these the same signs or different signs? They're different. So we say different signs, subtract, keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact. So this really just becomes 9 minus 1. In a calculator, you could put negative 1 plus 9. What would you get? You would get 8. Correct. Do the slopes match? Yes, they do. Now, technically, 4 over 8 could be reduced, or if you divide the top and the bottom by 4, you could also get 1/2, because we're talking about 1/2, meaning you could go up 1 and over 2, up 1 and over 2, up 1 and over 2, to get any point on the line. So, but those slopes are equivalent, because those are equivalent fractions. So you can leave it as 4/8. Take a look at number 2 and tell me what type of slope does this line have? What is it? It's a negative slope, right? Okay? So the first point is negative 5, 8, and the second point is negative 2, negative 1. So remember, slope is rise over run. Slope is what? Rise over run. So we can make a triangle, right? First going up or down on the y-axis and then going over. So why don't we start here at the top? How many would we have to go down and over? Let's see. We're going to rise down how many units? I'm making a triangle, so I'm going to go straight down. Perfect. Let's see how many that was. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9. I went down 9. And how many over? Over 1, 2, 3. So my slope is negative 9 over 3. Now what is negative 9 divided by 3? Negative 9 divided by 3 is what? Negative 9 divided by positive, negative 9 divided by positive 3 is what? Negative 3. And simplified or put in a fraction form, it would be negative 3 over 1. Which makes sense, right? We could go down 3 over 1, down 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1. Okay. All right, so our slope is negative 3. Let's verify that this is correct using the slope formula. All right, change in y at the top. You want to circle your y values. So circle y2 and y1. All right, the top we're going to say negative 1. Then put a subtraction sign, minus 8. Okay, negative 1 minus 8. Now, do these have the same signs or different signs? They're the same signs, right? They're both negative. So you say same signs, add, and keep, which means you're going to add 1 and 8, but keep the negative, you're going to make it negative 9. Does that match so far? It sure does. Now, you're going to do negative 2 minus negative 5, minus negative 2, negative 2, minus, in parentheses, negative 5. Next step, what is negative times negative? Negative times negative is positive. Very good. So that becomes positive 5. So negative 2 and positive 5, integer review. Are these the same signs or different signs now? They're different signs, right? So we say different signs, subtract, keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact, which means you got a positive and a negative. Subtract them. 5 minus 2. What's your answer? Positive or negative 3? Yes, it's positive 3, exactly, okay? Do these match? Negative 9 over 3. Yes, rise, down negative 9 over 3, which is the same, like I said, as negative 3 over 1. If you were to write this in a formula and plug m back in, it would be negative 3. All right? Go ahead and get that down. Now let's look at number 3. What kind of slope does this line have? Does it have a slope? No. There's no slope, right? We call this zero slope. Yes? Zero slope. Think about his mouth. Zero slope. Why is the slope 0? Let's take a look at it. We can't rise and we can't run. Why not? What do you notice about the y values? When we circle the y values, I'll circle them here and here. What's going to happen if I subtract 2 minus 2? I'm going to get what? Positive 2 and negative 2 make 0, right? So the name of this equation is actually y equals 2 because of the fact that for any value of x, y equals 2. Now let's verify that this is 0 slope. Again, you told me that the y values are 2, right? 2 and 2? Okay. So we're going to write 2 minus 2. And you're going to get 0 on the top. Now technically you could stop here, right? Because 0 divided by any number is 0. However, if you subtract the x values, you get a 6 minus a negative 5. What's negative times negative? Negative times negative is positive. What's 6 plus 5? It's 11. Now I ask you, what is 0 divided by 11? 0 divided by any number is 0. Okay? So the slope of this, I'll write it in red, is 0. Slope is 0. Okay? Or we call this no slope. Okay? This slope, it's what? Is it a vertical line or a horizontal line? It's a vertical line. Do we say this has no slope? The slope really is approaching infinity, okay? When it's straight up and down. And that means it's undefined. It means what? Undefined. And you remember the little nose, right? It has a vertical line with a little U. Okay, and slope, dude, undefined slope. What is an undefined slope? Well, if we look at the y values, they're different. But let's underline the x values of x1 and y1. They're both what? They're both 3. So we say no matter what y value we choose, x will always be positive 3. X is always going to be what? Positive 3. Okay? We call this slope, we can tell by looking at it, it is called undefined. Okay? Undefined slope. So let's verify that. Now, undefined slope is going to have a 0 somewhere. Will it be on the top or will it be on the bottom? Remember, what is 3 minus 3 going to be? It's going to be 0, right? And remember slope. Change in y at the top, change in x bottom. So you're going to notice that there's going to be a 0 down here. So what were our points again? Let's remember our points. We had 3, 8 was x1, y1. And then 3, negative 4 was x2, y2. If we circle the y values, we have a negative 4 and a 8. So we'd say, you know what, we're going to take a negative 4, we want to subtract 8. And we can do that really quick. Do these have the same signs or different signs? They're both negative, right? So we say same signs, add and keep. This is going to be negative what? What's 4 plus 8? 4 plus 8 is 12. You can put that in your calculators, negative 4 and negative 8. Now, what's at the bottom? What's left? We just talked about it. It's 3 minus 3. So what's 3 minus 3? 3 minus 3 is 0. So when you try and divide by 0, that doesn't work. So undefined can be written as there's no solution or it's undefined.